change an area of my life. Let's distinguish change. And as we distinguish it, the way I want you to think about it is like an iceberg, right? Like an iceberg. How much of an iceberg is showing visible to the eye? If you know it or guess it, whatever, type it in. How much of an iceberg is usually showing visible to the eye? Nathan says 10%. Yeah, the tip, right? It's usually about 10%. Sometimes even a little bit less, and maybe sometimes a little bit more, Adrian, right? So it's about 10%. So that means that the majority of an iceberg exists under the waterline, under the surface. It's not visible to the eye. So I want you to think about when we say I want to change something, I want you to imagine that there's like a water line, like an iceberg, right? That the majority of it is underneath the surface, right? So someone says, oh, they want to change something. What they're implying is they want that thing to be what? They want that thing to be what if you want to change something? Different, right? What else? You want the thing to be different, or you may want something to be better, right? Or more. I see more too, or even less in some cases, right? You know, like it could be like, I want more money, but I want less fear. I want more time and less stress. I want more passion and less headaches, right? So more or less, or you want it to improve, right? You want it to be better, or you want it to be different. So when someone says they want to change something, they're implying that I want that thing to be more or less better or different. So when I say I want to change something, I'm implying that under this water line, I want things to be more or less, better or different. Usually we just say more, better, different, but it's actually more or less, right? So now imagine for a moment that you're on this great body of water, like the ocean, or maybe even a big lake. You're on this great body of water and you're in this really teeny tiny boat and you have no sail, no rudders, no oars. Where do you think you're going to go? Type it in. You're in a boat, you have no sail, no rudders, no oars. Okay, so I see adrift, nowhere, the current, right? You're going to go wherever the current takes you, or wherever the drift takes you. So if you're on a boat on a giant body of water with no sail, no rudder, no oars, you're going to go wherever the current or the drift takes you. Try paddling. I'll try paddling. Of course you would, Vince. So you're going to be at the mercy of that drift. It's like an undertow that just operates under the surface, right? Human beings live in a drift. Carl Jung called it the collective unconsciousness of human beings, like all these underlying assumptions. See, you have individual underlying assumptions, but there's also cultural underlying assumptions. There's a collective unconsciousness that just operates under the surface. And in the training, we call that the drift. We call it a drift or the drift. And your family has a drift. Not my family certainly has a drift. Your family has a drift of collective unconsciousness that operate under the surface. Your family operates with these underlying assumptions. So your family has a drift. New York City drift is distinct from the Oklahoma City drift. The Miami drift is distinct from the Madrid drift. Your community has a drift. There's a Black drift. There's a white drift. There's a Hispanic drift. There's a male drift. There's a female drift. Human beings live in a drift, and many times we live in several different drifts. It's the collective unconsciousness or the collective underlying assumptions of a group or a culture or a family or a group of people, right? That just operate under the surface. These underlying assumptions operating under the surface. And often they're just accepted as what is. And this is just how it is, or this is how it should be. And one of the greatest drifts of our culture is the drift of more, better, different. It's like a constant state of comparison, like a constant state of not enoughness, a constant state of lack. And in Buddhism, there's a term called dukkha. And the way that we can translate that is a constant state of unsatisfactoriness. I like that word, unsatisfactoriness, right? This drift, the drift of more or less or better, different, is the constant state of comparison, lack, not enoughness, unsatisfactoriness. So when I say I want to change something, I'm really implying, oftentimes unconsciously implying, that I want that thing to be more or less, better or different. That's the drift that we're born into. A constant state of comparison, lack, and not enoughness. So what I want you to imagine now that there's even deeper, another waterline. Okay, because I say on the surface, what's visible like an iceberg, up there, I say, I want to change something. But under that surface, I'm implying that I want the thing to be more, better, different. And there's even another waterline underneath that, because if I'm saying I want this thing or need this thing to be more, better, or different, what am I saying about the thing as it is, the way that it is? So what am I saying about the thing if I want it to be more, better, different? I'm saying that it's not good enough, right? Exactly. It's not good enough. It's insufficient, not okay. It's wrong, okay? Not good, not working, needs change, right? Not good enough. Okay? So under this deeper waterline, what I'm saying is, what is, the way that it is not okay. It won't do, it's not enough, it's unsatisfactory, right? And rather than being in a state of acceptance to what is or surrender to what is, unconsciously, I'm now in a state of, or a relationship of what to what is. I'm now in a state or a relationship of what to what is. Nathan, thank you. Resistance. Right? Because I'm saying it's not good enough. It's not okay. It won't do. Not enough. So the thing that I want to change, that I want to be more, better, or different, that thing in and of itself, I actually have resistance to. I'm unconsciously in a state of resistance to what is, the way that it is. And what I resist, what? Type it in. What I resist, persist. The relationship of resistance or the law of resistance actually keep things where they are as they are. Now, on the surface, I say I want to change something. Under that surface, unconsciously, I'm in a drift of more, better, different. And under that surface, under that waterline, the deeper waterline, I'm saying that what is, the way that it is not okay. And it unconsciously puts me in a state of resistance to the very thing I want to change, keeping the very thing I want to change where it is, as it is. So like the roof over our head is in a relationship of resistance to the roof pillars, right? So that the roof doesn't what? So the roof doesn't fall on us, right? Collapse. Architects and engineers know the relationship of resistance very well, because resistance keeps things where they are as they are. And although I say I want to change something, if I'm unconscious to the drift that I swim in or live in, I'm unconscious to this constant state of comparison. I'm unconscious to the underneath this water line that I'm in a state of resistance to, right? I actually keep what is where it is, as it is, even though I say I want to change it.